Hey, what's going on, friends? Thanks a lot for just being part of this training. And if you are watching this, that means you are ready to add your own domain and really hook this funnel up and get using it. So I'm excited for you. The domain piece is maybe the most technical thing you have to do, but we'll get through it together, okay? And I'll show you what to do. Now, also, I wanted to show you, if you've been getting that little pesky message that says that you need to update your profile stuff, all you have to do that is just go here in settings, hover over your login person there, and then that takes you into your settings area. And once you set a country here, okay, so I'll say United States, okay. And then we'll do that. Let me see. Just fill in this stuff. You're going to have to do this anyway. This is why I want to show you this real quick. I know this is supposed to be about domains, but in order to send out emails, you're supposed to have a address for yourself or your business that associates you to being a person or a business. So don't worry about that. People aren't going to come and like knock on your door because you've got your address and your emails. But certainly, I mean, that should also make it so you don't want to be sending out emails that are bad or spammy in some way to an extent that somebody would want to do that. Sweet. These always get me confused. Okay, I'm going to have to come back. Oh no, it's, yeah, number F. Sweet 8. Okay. And then phone number. Yeah, that one's fine. 80104 is what that should be. And then, good. So now just click save, get your address in there. Oh, display name should be, okay. All right, let's see. Write my name in there. Cool. All right, now we're good. And now that little message shouldn't appear that says you need to update your profile. And also what you'll see is once you log back in again and stuff, your dashboard will probably update so that things are in, sales are in like US dollars and stuff. That may be the case. I can't remember how that updates, but it may be until you create a product that's in US dollars that it updates that. But whatever, you get paid in whatever currency you want, so it doesn't really matter on that stuff. So anyway, let's get to the domains. Now, the way that we are going to associate our funnel here with our own domain name, okay, is by adding a domain. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you this is because like what you're seeing now when you go to your link, okay, if I copy that and we open a new tab here and paste it in, this is the domain we're currently using. Okay, it's called a subdomain. And the subdomain part is the c6e5-gym.systeme.io. Okay, so this first part is the subdomain part. And that's fine. Maybe you don't want to have Systeme.io in your address, or maybe you don't like that part. Maybe you want to use a more official .com or something like that that you want to use. And so that's where we're adding a domain. So I just want to kind of give you that context of what we're doing here. And the way we do that is just to go over here to settings, okay? And now go down here in the left menu to custom domains. All right, and then you'll see here is the domain that we're using now, the subdomain. And there's a big blue button up here that says add domain. Okay, and I'm going to use just one that I have sitting around that isn't attached to anything right now. So in castlerock.com, Okay, and then I'm going to click Save. Now there's also an article here. You can always right-click that and then say Open in a new tab just to have those instructions there. But let's just hit Save. Oh, they want it to begin with www. That's fine. Save. Now, you might think, oh, okay, I'm done. But what's going to happen is they're just going to generate some technical stuff that you have to set up with your domain registrar that helps point that name that people type into the internet, point it to your Systeme.io funnel. Okay, so that's what's going to happen. So the first thing we're going to do is the www CNAME, and we just got to point it to this address. So you just copy this stuff. So just leave this window open, right? And then go and get logged into your domain registrar. I'm going to pause and do that really quick. Okay, now we're back and I'm inside of the place where I manage my domains. Yours is going to look different than this probably, unless you happen to use Cloudflare as well. I'm not like recommending them or anything. It just, whatever domain registrar you use, whether it's GoDaddy or I use one called Internet BS, there's Namecheap, there's so many. It doesn't really matter where. You got to find where you registered the domain, get logged in, and then somewhere once you're logged in is going to be a thing that says manage DNS settings. Okay, and so that's what I'm going to go into, DNS settings. Okay, and then in here is, there may be some stuff already there, there may not be, I don't know, but what we're going to do is add records. Okay, and that's essentially the same across all of these, is updating DNS information and adding the different types of records. So that's pretty consistent no matter who you use. You just kind of poke around until you find how to do that inside your dashboard. Now, one thing I will say is if you've already used this domain for another website, then if you make these changes, it won't point to your old website anymore. So in that case, you would want to create a subdomain. So rather than www, you might want to say funnel.yourdomainname.com, and then you can do that. These instructions in Systeme from that link that we opened a minute ago help walk through some of that, some of those alternate workflows that you might have. But let's just stick with the straight up using the root domain for our funnel here, incastlerock.com. Okay, so what we're going to do is add a record. And then we just have to change the type to CNAME, because remember, that's what they want us to do. This is where I wanted to make a video about it, because it's not always obvious to everyone what all this means. But this is telling you the record type, CNAME, and then this is telling you the address piece, which we'll look at here, okay, or the name piece. So in this case, we'll just copy and paste stuff across, okay? So now we're just going to take this, copy, name, paste, all right, get rid of that period. Target, now this is the address piece, okay. This is just another subdomain for CloudFront, all right. So all we do is just kind of change things around, point to places that serve up web pages and funnels and stuff. That's all we're doing here. And then we will click Save. So let me just move myself. Okay, if you happen to use Cloudflare, then I think we have to actually turn that proxied thing off, but we'll check that in a minute. I can never remember. So we got to do this twice, right? Okay, so we're just going to copy this, copy that, add record, CNAME, here's the name. That is one messy name. And then here's the address. Copy. A lot of copying and pasting. I know this is hard work. All right. Remove that period. Maybe that's it. Cool. Oh, this record type cannot be proxied. Okay. So we just turned that off. That's just a Cloudflare thing. You won't run into that. Okay, so that is good. I mean, actually, that just tells me that this one shouldn't be either. Okay. So now we've done that. Now this is the part where if you read about domains or you have tried this stuff before, you know that sometimes it can take a while for these changes to take effect across the internet. So what we can do here is say, okay, all right, and then that's going to just say pending validation. All right, and that's cool because essentially what we do now is just wait, right? It's going to get validated at some point. We've already done these things. Okay, I'm just looking through. Now, they actually have a DNS checker, so we can, a recommendation there for that. So we can go and check that. It's not a bad idea. Okay, and then what do they recommend that we paste in there? Okay, so let's check that last one that we just added. Remove that period. Change that to CNAME. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's found it yet, so that's all right. Now the other one we had, you can just hit that show instructions to bring these back up. Okay, so let's go here and try. I'm just going to highlight all of that and delete. We can also just say that, and yeah, sometimes these just take a little while. Let's try that other one. Yeah, still not propagating out there, so that is okay. We'll just come back and check on that in a little bit. I'll pause. Okay, that took longer than I expected. More like 15 minutes than 20 minutes, something like that. Sometimes this stuff is pretty instantaneous, but part of it is that it's just, there's some extra steps in Systeme to make it work with a root domain, and so that makes it a little complicated, which is why I tend to use subdomains with them. So anyway, here's what we had to do. Let's go back. So you can see now in the DNS check, I type in my domain, CNAME, hit search, and we get back the green arrows. And if I go, so this was what was happening when I tried to visit the domain over the last few minutes. Now, when I hit it, it's going to give me an error page for Systeme. So that's a good thing. That's progress. Okay. We'll show you what to do in just a second on that front. What I ended up having to do, though, is in Cloudflare, and this is also true for Namecheap, I believe, is I had to add in the root domain with the same address as we did for the www. Okay. Now, I didn't just come up with that myself. That's actually in their instructions. Okay. But this is where, yeah, this is, honestly, if you can do it with Systeme.io to hook up these domains, you'll be able to do it anywhere, because this is hands down the most complicated setup process out of having used, I don't know, dozens of different tools with this kind of stuff. But no worries. It's just what it is, right? And there's no use in complaining about it. It's just one of those things you have to do once and then you're done. So here's what we do. I went to those instructions that we opened. Now remember, to get to those, all you have to do is just click the show instructions here by your domain, read this article, okay? Just open that, and that's what takes you over here. Okay, so then you just kind of read through this, add your domain. So we wrote it in already. We did that. Okay, we said okay. Then they're on this screen where they show us the addresses we're supposed to add. Okay, so we're good so far. We added those, all right. Now they give you some specific directions for a couple of different registrars for domains like GoDaddy. Cool. All right, so they just give you a little more elaboration on what means what, like I did. All right. And then we open the DNS checker. Now, here's the part where we have to take an extra step, and this is what I hadn't done yet. So redirection. Now, if you use Namecheap or Cloudflare, which is me, then we follow step 3.1. If we use somebody other than Namecheap or Cloudflare, then we follow step 3.2. All right, so for me, it says create a CNAME with root. Now, what root means is, let me just show you here. It just means the domain without a www in front of it, without anything in front of it. Okay. That's what that means. And so, as you can see in here, I've got 3 CNAMEs now for my Systeme.io connection. So the www, this one with the crazy weird name, and then the root. Okay, the root and the www both point to the same place. Now, some domain registrars won't allow that. Cloudflare and Namecheap do. So that's why they did this special step for those two. If you don't use one of those two guys, then come down to 3.2, and we just create a redirection, okay? And that looks something like, in here, I think it would probably be in rules, yeah, and then redirect, okay? And then you're going to create a redirection. You don't need to do that in Cloudflare, but I'm just pointing out, like, the redirection section inside of your domain name thing isn't going to be under the DNS stuff where we just were. It'll be somewhere else. And this is where you can do things like forwarding and stuff like that. So look for redirect, and then we'll just follow those directions that they give us, add redirection. Then you're just going to basically forward the root domain to the www version. Okay. So let's see if we can illustrate that here. We don't need to do it again in mine because I already added that third CNAME, but let's just see here. Okay, so rule name, domain redirect. All right, and then when incoming requests match, now yours may look something like this. Okay, when URI equals .com, so when somebody types in the root, so this is what you would be doing if you don't use Namecheap or Cloudflare. Okay. If it equals the root domain, then redirect to, we'll just leave that static, www.yourdomain. Okay, and then that's what we'll do. Let's just double check our info here. Okay, so do we need to check anything with the HTTPS? I don't think so. So then we would save that, and then it would start working. Now, this may be something, if it's not working for you, you have to reach out to support in Systeme.io to get help with. This is as much as I know about it, but if you use somebody other than Cloudflare, then I'm just not as familiar with those. So that's something that may be worth reaching out to Systeme to get help with if yours isn't working. But also keep in mind that sometimes this stuff just takes a little while to propagate across the internet. Okay. So you may have to wait a few hours. Okay, so now let's go back because, like I mentioned, this is now successful. We've got it moved. If you're seeing this page, then good. So now all we have to do is take the next step, okay? Now I'm going to go in here and let's just, I just need to refresh that page because we should be pretty good to go. May just need to refresh. Yeah, ready to use. Okay. So you may have to refresh your page because once you see in here that things are working and once you can visit the page in Systeme, then you're good to go. So just get back in your domains thing in your dashboard, refresh the screen so that it says ready to use, okay? And now you'll see under these three dots that you've got some new options. We can mark that domain as the default, so you could do that. Or you can hit settings and then you can do some additional stuff like add your favicon and that kind of thing. Okay, so if you do Facebook tracking, we'll get into that stuff later. That's a little more advanced. So now we're good there. So what we can do is you can either, if you don't really plan to use multiple domains, you can just say mark this as default. Okay. Right now, this with the green check mark is the default domain. Okay. And what that means is every time you create a new funnel, it's going to use this as the address, the core domain address. If you wanted to use your new domain, then just mark this as default. Okay. If that's not the case, then you can basically go back to your funnels here. Okay. And in here, we can basically go into the settings for this, and we can change the domain here. Okay. Click Save. And now you can see the path is using my domain plus this extra piece. All right, so let's grab that link. And now, like we were getting this 404 page before, now if we paste it in, okay, see? Now it's working. And now if we don't even have anything for an address on there, it should point to this as well. It doesn't, but that's just a change we have to make over here in the dashboard. So we can now say we've got a successful domain set up, okay? And woohoo! Now what we would do if we wanted this funnel page to just be right at the root is just delete the extension here off of the name. So do that, hit save. And so you're basically saying now this squeeze page is where people go when they type in your domain. So there you go. Sort of a long drawn out video. I apologize. It's just a little complicated to get those domains set up and stuff. But like I said, once you've got it, you've got it. So there you go. Now you're rocking and rolling. Wish you the best, and we'll see you in future videos.